At the Phoenix Art Museum, people gathered to remember an event that took place 50 years ago. In the 1968 Summer Olympic Games in Mexico City, Carlos and Tommie Smith took off their shoes in protest of poverty, wore beads in protest of lynchings, and raised their fists in a Black Power salute as they stood on the podium. In 2016, Colin Kaepernick decided to take a knee in protest of police brutality and racial injustice. Despite almost 5 decades separating these events, there are a lot of similarities, including the belief that their message was misinterpreted.
They changed the scenario from the Olympic Project for Human Rights and made it a Black Power movement. Just like Mr. Kaepernick said, I'm concerned about police brutality. They changed the scenario on that. Said he's unpatriotic, he's against the flag, he's against the military.
After their display at the Olympics, Carlos and Smith were ordered to leave the games. Although they were able to keep their medals, the sprinters were suspended from the USA track team and received death threats. Fast forward to today. Kaepernick and other NFL players receive criticism from fans and scrutiny from politicians.
I think that the flag has to be respected. Our country has to be respected. There's plenty of room to do other things, but our country has to be respected.
But just as other NFL players have decided to take a knee in support of Kaepernick, Carlos and Smith were not the only ones protesting at the '68 Olympics. Wyoming Tyus, a 3-time Olympic gold medalist, supported Carlos and Smith with a protest of her own in support of people of color and women.
I wore black shorts throughout the Olympic Games. That was my protest. We go and win these medals. They put us up on the pedestal. Oh, look, they did for the USA. And we come back. We have no rights. After winning the gold medal in the relay, I dedicated my medal to Tommie and Carlos for what they did on their victory stand.
We made a statement at that time because we wanted to be that beacon for society. So what God made us was the blueprint. We were the gardeners, the horticulturists that till the earth and plant the seeds. And you sit back and you hear about Mr. Kaepernick or young individuals. Well, they're the fruits of our labor. The same admiration they had for me, I had for Jack Johnson, I had for Paul Robeson, I had for Harriet Tubman, I had for Nat Turner, I had for all of them. Because they had to go through the same divide that we went through.
For many, it's hard to believe that 50 years after Carlos and Tommie Smith raised their fist in protest, the conversation around race continues.
I gave a lecture before about 450 largely white Americans. And I asked them, how many of you feel somewhat uncomfortable, or a great deal uncomfortable about athletes taking a knee? And about 3/4 of the hands went up. Then I asked them, how many of you would trade places with African Americans? Not a single hand went up. So they understand the message. They simply refuse to deal with it because it is so tied up with their identity, their privilege, and their power. And they don't want to discuss that.
All the participants agreed that even though great strides have been made to repair race relations in the United States, there is still work that must be done.